Hey Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into Project Tardis, my classic mini automatic restoration, some of the numbers behind it, what went into it and what I'm going to do in the future with this Mini. So let's get stuck into this. So this is Project Tardis. This is my 1984 classic Mini Mayfair automatic. Now I purchased it almost a year ago to the date. So I purchased it on July the 28th, 2020. So it's just under a year. It's fair to say it was in pretty good condition when I got it and it just needed a light restoration. But you know me, I got more and more involved in it. We ended up taking the whole engine out in the end. We ended up having the rear subframes out, the front subframes. So it pretty much underwent a full restoration. Apart from, we didn't have to do any welding on it and very, very little paint work. But apart from that, pretty much everything was taken apart on it. So I purchased this car on the 28th of July 2020 and it cost me £4,000. I bought it on eBay. You might think that was a bit of a bargain, and I do think it was a bit of a bargain. It wasn't particularly well advertised, but luckily it was a local car to me, so I was able to go along and have a look at the car, and that's really important. If you're looking to buy a project or buy a Mini, do not buy it on the advert alone, because I regularly go and look at Minis that are for sale, and the advert and the pictures can be very misleading sometimes. So my top tip there, if you're gonna buy a Mini, do not buy it blind, because you can really get it wrong. So I ran along and saw this Mini. I could see that it had a huge amount of potential, and I kind of chose it as the next project for the channel. So let's get right into the sort of cut to the chase here. What did it cost me to restore this Mini to the condition we see it now? And it is in fantastic condition. So just a bit of background, I'm sure some of you know. So it's only done 12,000 miles since 1984. It has never been welded. It doesn't need welding anywhere. All the panels are completely as original and it's never had any welding. And it's probably, I would say, 90% original paintwork. So there are some little bits during the restoration that we tidied up, but the rest of it is mainly original paintwork. Now, I won't go into the nitty gritty every part, but I keep a spreadsheet of everything I spend on the Minis just to keep a track of them. And I have done for all the projects and Minis I've had over recent years. So total restoration cost for this, all the parts it took to restore this Mini back to what is, I think now, amazing original condition. It will easily last another 30, 40 years. It cost me £2,879. So plus the £4,000, this car owes me £6,879. And I think what I've got now for the money I've put into the car, so just shy of £7,000 to have a 12,000 mile genuine Mini, almost a perfect shell that's never been welded. It's got no dents in it or anything like that. All original panels in this condition is a real bargain. Now, the time it took me, this did take me a little bit longer than normal, just because of COVID, because there was no shows to go to, so I didn't rush to get it finished. I kind of took it at a steady pace the whole way through. So I really kind of started properly stripping it down on the 23rd of September, and it was finished, and the finish was marked by the MOT on the 23rd of June, which was my birthday. So it took 9 months in total to restore it, which for me is a little bit slow. They usually take around about 6 to 9 months. It's probably at the longer end, but for some people that's pretty quick. So it took 39 weeks. Now, I estimate I've put 175 hours into restoring this car. So, you know, if you were paying someone to do that, it doesn't really owe £6,879, because you'd have had to pay someone labour, 175 hours labour, even for somewhere, well, a garage are going to charge upwards of £30 an hour labour. But I think if we take labour into account and I look at it at maybe, you know, sort of £10 an hour, something like that, I reckon it probably owes me, with my time as well, around about £9,000, which I still think is not too bad. What puts people off sometimes is the fact that it's an automatic, but I took some feedback early on. I listened to you viewers, and it would have been sacrilege to change that engine. It's an original numbers car. You can't just convert a Mini engine from an automatic to a manual without changing the whole engine. Or you can, but it is very, very difficult to do because the oil passages in the engine are not machined on an automatic. It is different. The oil galleries are different. So I'd have ended up putting a different engine in it and a different gearbox. It's no longer matching numbers. It's no longer original. It's no longer got that 12,000 miles anymore. So I think that would have detracted from the value. When I look at the biggest expenditure on this car, as with all my cars, I don't go mad with them. I don't spend thousands or tens of thousands of pounds on them. I try and save money where I can. Probably the biggest expenditure I had on this was doing the wheels, converting those wheels from Hillman Int wheels, having them powder coated, sorting out the fixings, tyres, etc. It cost me £600 plus for the wheels and hubcaps, etc. So that was really expensive, but I really do think it's a defining part of the car. It still looks very original, but there's one little bit which is just tweaked a little bit, which I still think looks factory OEM, but factory OEM plus. The biggest spends I had though, I spent £1,135 in total with mini spares over probably 4 or 5 different orders. This is where it pays in a little bit. So I do get a small discount from mini spares because I'm the member of a mini club, and I think they'll give 5% discount if you're a member of a club. So, you know, that will have saved me 55 quid over this restoration, which 55 quid is not to be sniffed at. I have spent a lot of money with them and I would like more discount, but if you're paying membership to a mini club and it costs you, I don't know, £20, £30 a year, if you're doing a restoration, that is going to pay back, so it's worth doing. I spent just shy of £300, so I spent £295 at Paints for You, just on paint colour for the body. On top of that, I spent another £110 at Halfords, and the money I spent at Halfords would have been on things like Hammerite and other little bits of paint and consumables. So paint and consumable total, I reckon I spent probably £450 in paint and consumables. Next biggest expenditure was shot blasting and powder coating. So all the wheels were shot blasted and powder coated, as well as the front and rear subframes. That cost £372, but it was money well spent, I think. And then I also had the head converted to unleaded, which cost £250. So that is what it is. I think I've ended up with a fantastic Mini here. I really do like it. I enjoy driving it. I guess to answer the exam question, which everyone keeps asking me, what next? What am I going to do with Tardis? The honest answer is nothing. I'm not going to sell it because it is such an original Mini, and I will struggle to find another one in this condition. I really will. If I sell it, I will forever regret it. So I have no immediate plans to sell the car. And aside from that, it sounds really boring, but what am I going to do with it? Not a great deal. I'll get a cover put on it. It will go out to the odd show here and there locally, but I'm not going to go out and ramp up thousands of miles on it. I am going to use it because I think just sitting them in the garage and doing nothing doesn't do them justice, but I'm going to use it for local shows. You know, it's quite comfortable doing 50, 60 miles an hour. It doesn't like doing 70, 75 plus on the motorway. So it's going to sit here. It will be a bit of a garage queen, but for me, it's all about just owning a very solid, very original Mini shell. And, you know, if I decided to do something mad in the future and and build, I don't know, a one-off race Mini or something like that, and wanted to start with a good shell, I've always got one. You know, a heritage shell is £9,000–10,000 plus now, and I think this is in as good a condition now as new. I did ask some people if they wanted to ask some questions. I didn't get many in the previous comments for the video. I hope I've covered off all the questions. I did have some specific questions from a guy, I think your name is Christopher, so sorry Chris if I got your name wrong. He has a YouTube channel called The New Storyteller. So you asked if I'd ever watched the movie Goodbye Pork Pie made in 1981. I haven't. I have to admit, I have never seen that film. I've seen clips, I've seen images. I know it involved Mini. I know it was New Zealand. I've never watched the film. So all the time I've owned Minis, as much as an enthusiast I am, I've never watched that. So Chris, I am going to watch that film at some point. He said, what are my thoughts on the Italian Job die-cast models? I think they're great. I know the little diorama set they do. They do one with a bus. They do the red, white and blue Minis in a little sort of diorama as well. I think they're brilliant. I do collect some of the Corgi and die-cast model Minis, but I don't have that set. I think it's a fantastic little die-cast set if you can get hold of it. But certainly in the UK, if you go to a Mini show now, they're going up and up in value. He also asked, do I ever drive my Mini to the supermarkets? Yes, I do. So if I'm out and about and I need to pick some bits up, yeah, I use them. But I certainly wouldn't go off and do the weekly shop on them. One, there's not enough room, and two, I don't like using them for sort of domestic stuff, work stuff, things like that. I just like taking them out on a nice sunny day and enjoying the drive. You know, I see comments in other videos and that sort of thing, and other people say about, you know, Minis are there to be driven, don't keep them in the garage, you know, driven, not garaged, and that sort of thing. I use my Minis for pleasure. You know, I've owned Minis since I was 17 years old, and I'm 46 now. I've done all that having a Mini as a daily driver. Back in the sort of early 90s, Minis were my only car, and I'd clock up 20,000 plus miles in a Mini each year, and it takes its toll on me, it really does. You know, I used to do a 40-mile a day commute to work in a Mini sports pack, and I've done that for 3-4 years. I think I clocked up 36,000 miles, and it takes its toll. So, but now I'm older, I've got other cars. I just use my Minis when it's nice and sunny outside, and I use them for fun, and I'll get the enjoyment out of it. When you only drive them every once in a blue moon, you forget about the harsh ride, you forget about the rattles, you forget about this, that and the other, and you just really enjoy the moment. It makes it extra special. Chris always asks, do you stick drive when using the Blue Classic Mini that's got an automatic gearbox? So he's talking about, obviously, you've got drive and you've got 1, 2, 3, you can hold it in gear. Yes, I do. So I've owned a 1275 automatic Mini before, and obviously they have a bit more power and a bit more torque. From memory, a 1275 SPI Auto is, I think, 50 brake horsepower. A 998 carburetted is 34 or 36. Don't crucify me if I get those numbers wrong, they're around about right anyway. But the 1275 just has a bit more power and a bit more torque, that it is quite easy just to leave it in drive, and you come to a hill, it's not a problem. But on a 998, yes, I do find myself shifting through and holding it in the gears. Certainly when you come to a hill, you'll want to hold it in maybe second or something like that to keep the revs higher, because if you've listened to me driving this and Project Kit before, the AP2 gearbox, you'll hear it goes through the gears really, really quickly. It's lovely and smooth, but it'll just go first, second, third, and it'll be into top gear really, really quickly. And sometimes to get it to come down a gear, you have to provoke it by hitting kick down, and then of course it revs really loud. It makes a lot of fuss about it, so it's easier sometimes just to use the gearing, just to hold it in gear. do you change your movements when driving automatic and manual classic minis? I'm not sure what you mean by movements. I would interpret that as, do I change my driving style or the type of driving I'm doing? Yes, I do. So if I'm driving the auto, like I say, I will keep it very, very local. And if I've got to do a longer journey, the Sport 5 is the one. If I need to go on a long journey, the Sport 5 is absolutely brilliant for that because it has the 5-speed gearbox. It's a very, very comfortable car. And it's quite pokey as well, although I would say closely challenged by Project Sprout, because this has the, I might get this wrong, I'm not an expert here, but I think it's a 2.7 diff, which is a very, very long diff, which means the acceleration is not that fantastic, and you get this big jump from 3rd to 4th gear. It really lowers the gear ratio down. But what it means is it is an absolutely fantastic cruiser at sort of 70, 75 miles an hour. It's not revving high, it's pretty comfortable. And the 12-inch wheels help out a little bit because I have driven MPIs with 13-inch wheels with a 4-speed gearbox and the 2.7 diff. And they are, it destroys the feel a little bit because the gearing is just not quite right. The gearing was there. They've done it like that, really, I think, for fuel economy, drive-by noise regulations because of Euro laws, and just general sort of noise. So, yeah. So, that's where we are. I hope you've enjoyed the Project Tardis series. Like I say, there are other projects on the go. I'm not sure. I'm always looking around for other minis. I'm not in a rush to go out and buy something just for the sake of buying it. I have seen a couple of minis which I've inquired about regarding buying them, and it just hasn't worked out. But I have got work I need to do on this. I've got work I need to do on PL. I did look at doing maybe an S-Works upgrade to Sprout. So at the moment, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to jump into anything. Like I've alluded to on the previous videos, one of the projects that's coming up, which will probably start in October, will be converting Project Kit, which is Mark's 1275 SPI Mini, from an automatic back to a manual, and that'll be a 1380cc high spec Swift Tune engine going in that. We've also got kind of the secret project coming up from Mark, which will be really, really interesting. I think it's going to be a relatively short series of videos, and it'll be nothing like you've seen before on this channel, so it'll be completely different. And then there'll be some smaller projects going on with the other cars. So anyone that's watched these videos right from the start, been a long-term subscriber to the channel, thank you very much. I really do appreciate your support. It really helps, and hopefully I give something back by doing these videos, and it helps other people out, because that is, for me, that's what it's all about. If I didn't have you people watching the videos, I wouldn't be making them. It's as simple as that. I want to say a massive thanks as well. So a long-term viewer of the channel and subscriber popped down to see me just over a week ago, and he popped down. He had quite a long distance to come and see me, actually. He popped down because he was dropping off some parts, so he was having a bit of a clear out. He had a load of parts which were either new or in very good condition that basically just needed to make some space for, and he has donated them to the channel. So not specifically to me, although he said you can do whatever you like with them, and he said, here's all these parts, do whatever you like. If they help contribute to the channel in some sort of way, then that's what it's all about. I want to help out the channel. So what he suggested was maybe I'll do a prize giveaway and give away some of these items. I may do that, or I think certainly what I'll do if I don't do that. So there's all sorts of things. There's body panels, there's rear quarter panels, boot floor, there's an SU carburetor, there's window mechanisms, there's rear lights, really sort of random parts. There's a fuel tank there, but I know some of those parts are going to be useful to me. So the fuel tank we can probably use for Project Kit when we convert it back to carburetor. The panels potentially can be used for repairing certain sections. So I may use some of those bits myself. If I do, I think what I'm going to do, we'll do another giveaway on the channel, and I think what I'll probably do is I'll donate some of my own cash to the equivalent. So I reckon those parts are probably worth a good 100 quid. So I'll donate 100 quid to a prize draw to give away with the channel, and maybe we can do a collaboration with someone else or something like that and make the prize even bigger. So sorry if I didn't mention your name. So the guy that very kindly donated these items to the channel is Chris. His YouTube name is One Chish. So thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it. It was nice to see you, put a name to the face and catch up with you. Genuinely really nice guy. I really enjoyed the chat we had. So thanks very much, Chris.